Hello, and welcome to Cell Division with Meiosis. It's very similar, but not exactly the same as mitosis, which we covered in a different video. The first difference between meiosis and mitosis is that meiosis only happens in haploid cells, which are cells that only have 23 chromosomes, also known as egg and sperm cells. The first step of meiosis, known as interphase, is exactly the same as it is in mitosis. It's just cell growth, DNA replication, and a little bit more cell growth. The second phase, known as prophase 1, is also very similar to prophase in mitosis. That is, the nuclear envelope disappears and the chromosomes attach themselves to centrosomes using microtubules. The only difference is that chromosomes that have the same set of genes and are of similar sizes, called homologous chromosomes, will pair up with each other before being attached to spindle fibers. Now, let's talk crossovers. When these homologous chromosomes pair up together, they also get the chance to do a thing called a crossover, where one allele from one chromosome switches with the matching allele from another chromosome, diversifying the genes. Not all chromosome pairs can cross over, though, like the X and Y chromosomes, the 23rd pair, in humans. The Y chromosome is a little bit shorter, and therefore it's not homologous with the X chromosome, and so they can't cross over. Now that we know all about crossovers, let's move on to the next phase, metaphase. This phase is identical to metaphase in mitosis, where the chromosomes are being moved to the center of the cell via the spindle fibers attached to the centromeres. The next phase, anaphase 1, is where the spindle fibers will help pull the homologous chromosomes apart from each other. And this is different from mitosis in that it's the homologous chromosomes that are being pulled apart, not sister chromatids. The next phase, telophase 1, proceeds much like telophase in mitosis, where the nuclear membrane gets reconstructed around the chromosomes and they unwind into DNA. The last phase is cytokinesis 1, which is also like cytokinesis in mitosis, where the cytoplasm will divide in half and the cell membrane will come down and the cells will split into two new cells. This is where sperm and egg cells start acting differently. Right now, we're going to follow a sperm cell's journey. Once the sperm cell has successfully divided into two gametes, it will move on to prophase 2. It's just like prophase 1, except there's no DNA replication. Once the gametes have finished growing in prophase 2, they'll move on to metaphase 2, where they line up in the center of the cell. After that, as you can probably guess, the gametes will move on to anaphase 2, where their sister chromatids are pulled apart. After that, the gametes will enter telophase 2, where the nuclear membrane is reconstructed around the chromosomes, and then the chromosomes will unwind into DNA. And then they'll move into cytokinesis 2, where the cell membrane comes down and splits the cytoplasm, splitting these two gametes into 4 new sperm cells. Now, let's start talking about the egg. I'm going to go back a little bit to cytokinesis 1. When an egg cell splits into 2, one of them is going to be significantly larger than the other. This change in size will not change the way the rest of meiosis works. The daughter cells will enter prophase 2 and grow, not replicating DNA. They'll go into metaphase 2 and they'll line up at the center of the cell. They'll move on to anaphase 2, and their sister chromatids will be pulled apart. They'll move on to telophase 2, the nuclear membrane will construct, no problem. Chromosomes will unwind, no problem times 2. And then they'll go to cytokinesis 2. It gets funky again. That one daughter cell that split in the middle of the video that was just very much larger than the other daughter cell that split is now going to split again, and it's going to split the same way. So now there's going to be one cell that's just ginormous compared to the other 3 cells, and that's going to be our ovum. I do not know why it's labeled egg cell, but it is the one that will be used as the egg, just because it's so big and the egg will turn into a full organism at some point in time. The 3 polar bodies don't do anything, especially for humans, so the only one that we're going to focus on is the ovum.